Merry Christmas guys, it's Robin and welcome to my channel. Now I've made quite a few beautiful cakes so far this Christmas season, but I have one more very special one to share with all of you. Today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful angel cake with a hand-piped dress, a fondant bodice, and some fancy wafer paper wings too. And not only is she my last cake of the Christmas season, but she's part of a really fun Christmas doll cake collaboration too, with a few other channels such as Flour, Eggs, and Yeast, Serendipity Bakery, and Daniel Toro too. Now if you guys are interested in their videos, you can find links to those in my description box below. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So for today's cake, we're going to be using two 6-inch vanilla cake layers as well as one smaller 5-inch layer that I baked up in an oven-safe mixing bowl. Now once I've leveled and torted each of my layers, we're going to take some red, some white, and some green American buttercream, and we're going to fill each of those layers. So I filled a couple of piping bags with each of those colors, and we're going to do a really fun candy cane stripe pattern, so that way our cake looks just as pretty on the inside as well. So starting at the outer edge of the layer first, we're going to pipe a strip of red, a strip of white, and a strip of green. Then we're going to pipe another strip of white and then another strip of red. And we're going to follow that color pattern all the way to the center of the cake layer. Now once we filled in all of our colors, we're going to take our small offset spatula and we are going to gently smooth this out just to make sure our next layer of cake sits nice and flat. Now we're just going to give that a nice press down to secure it, and then we're going to repeat that color pattern once again all the way to the center and smoothing it out again before adding our next layer. So now that we have our cake stacked a few layers tall, I'm going to take a small serrated knife and we're going to start cutting out a space for our doll's legs to go. And since it's a little bit easier to cut the hole when the cake is not stacked, I'm going to go ahead and cut holes in the rest of my layers too. And we're just going to keep following this color pattern when filling each of our layers until we reach the very top. And I have to say, I'm absolutely loving these candy cane vibes. It reminds me of a candy cane fault line cake I actually did a couple of years ago that I absolutely love, and it is on my channel, and I think you guys will like it too. So I'll leave a link in that eye up above for you. And be sure to stay tuned till the end because we're cutting this cake open too. Now once we add that final layer of cake, we're going to do a little checkaroo, and our dress is still a little bit short, so we're going to add some of our cake scraps too. And these are just the little pieces that I cut off when I leveled out each of my layers. And now to keep my hands clean, I'm going to use a piece of saran wrap, and we're just going to give this a little press down to secure everything together really well. And now for one last fitting, and that should do. Now it's time to shape her dress. So we're going to take a small serrated knife and using a very gentle sawing motion, starting at the top and working our way down, we're straightening up the line of the dress. And we're also creating a relatively smooth surface to attach our buttercream to. So once we finish going all the way around, removing all the lumps and bumps, and we're happy with the shape, we're going to clean up our crummy mess, and then we're going to add a nice thick coat of buttercream to our cake. So to keep this step nice and quick and clean, I've filled a piping bag full of red buttercream, and we're just going to pipe a nice thick generous layer all over the entire cake, and then we can start to smooth our icing. So once we've reached the top, we're going to use what's called a flexible smoother to smooth our cake. Now I've made mine from a flexible cutting board that I just cut using my X-Acto knife, but you can also use cardstock or even a piece of thicker acetate. Now you can find actual flexible smoothers on Amazon and in some cake stores, but I find these work just as great. Alright, now it's time for the top of the dress, and to help you guys, I even made a template. So if you're interested, send me an email at therobinsnest@hotmail.com and I will be happy to share a copy with you. So I'm just going to quickly prepare my stencil by using my X-Acto knife to cut out the lines, and while also leaving my corners attached. Now you can cut the shapes all the way out if you like, that is also fine as well. Alright, so we're just going to take our stencil and we are going to lay it onto some freshly rolled red fondant. And then I'm going to give it a good press down so that way when we pull up the paper, we're going to be able to see those freshly perforated lines. Now I do recommend being in a very well lit area as this part can be quite difficult to see. So if you are having a difficult time, I do recommend that when you have the stencil on your fondant to use the tip of your X-Acto knife to follow your guidelines. This is going to give you a much deeper perforation and make it so much easier to see, therefore making it much easier to cut out all the shapes that you need. So once we finish cutting out all the pieces we need, we're going to grab our doll, which I've already prepared by washing and drying her and tying up her hair. So now we're going to take our first piece, which is the back piece, and we're going to use a little bit of water to help attach it to her and use our fingers to press it all down and help it fit snugly. So once that one's into place, then we're going to work on the front piece. So we're just going to use a little bit more water to attach that one as well. And using our fingers, we're going to press everything into place. Now, my stencil wasn't 100% perfect. It was really hard to get those measurements accurately, but I got it as close as I could, and I think it worked out perfectly. There was just a little bit of trimming to do down her sides and underneath her arms, but I think it looks great, and I hope you guys think so too. And if you do, leave me a thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comment section too. Now, she looks really pretty, and you can leave her just like that, but she is a Christmas angel, and I want her dress to look Christmassy too. So we're going to give her some of the white fluff like you see around Santa's hat, around her collar, and we're also going to give her some around her wrists too. And this part is just so simple to make. You just make a long snake-like shape and you wrap it around and use a little bit of water as glue if you need to. But this stuff actually just stuck right into place. It was pretty soft, so it worked pretty good. And now with that finished, we can make her halo. So this part was actually really easy. I just used a heavy gauge floral wire and I wrapped it with floral tape. Now the reason for that is because when you wrap it with floral tape, when you stretch the tape, it comes a little bit sticky. So when I added the gold dust, it stuck to it just like glue. It worked out perfectly, and I hope it works out just as easy for all of you. Alright, so before we can do any of our fancy piping work to the dress, we have to add our Barbie to the cake. And I wrapped her legs in plastic, as you can see, to keep her nice and clean and keep everything food safe. So we're going to get her stuck into place, and now using a bit of white buttercream in a with a number 16 star piping tip, we're going to pipe tiny little rosettes all the way around the bottom of our cake. And this is going to give the illusion of that fluffy white stuff like around her wrists and her neck. So once I finish piping out my white rosettes, we're going to switch out the color in our bag because I still need that number 16 piping tip to complete the rest of the cake. So we're not going to continue on with the rosettes, we're just going to do some simple star shapes, but we're going to squeeze a little heavier at first, making our stars a bit larger and progressively make them smaller as we work our way to the top of the cake. So once you've completed that part and your hand is sufficiently cramped, it's time to do some more piping. So taking number 352 leaf piping tip, we're going to add some holly. So starting at her waist first, we're just adding some very simple leaves, and we're also adding a few all around the bottom of her cake sporadically. But I have to be careful not to add too many because I don't want it to look silly. And then we're going to switch out to a number 2 round piping tip with some more red buttercream, and we're going to use that to pipe some very simple berries. Well, there is her dress so far, guys, and isn't it pretty? She would even make a beautiful Mrs. Claus, I think. But she's an angel, so it's time to add her wings. So we're just going to brush on a little bit of wafer paper glue, which is literally just wafer paper and water mixed together until it's gotten soggy and sticky and gooey, and it works just like glue. And then we're just going to hold them onto the back of our dress until they are nice and secure. And be sure to stay tuned in the near future, guys, because I will have a tutorial for those wings very soon for you all too. Okay, so to finish her off, I let down her beautiful hair and I've added a couple of braids if you guys noticed there too. And now I'm adding her halo, and doesn't she look beautiful? I absolutely love this cake, guys, and I really hope you all do too, because she turned out even better than I ever imagined she would. And I wish I could stick her on my tree, but dessert will have to do. And I know how much you guys all love cake as well, so let me cut a piece to share with all of you. Well, that's it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, you know what to do. Leave me a big thumbs up and leave me lots of love in the comment section too. And if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you receive a notification every time I post a new video. Thanks for watching, guys. Happy holidays to all of you.